everyone. I wanted to make a video on this cold January 5th day. Kind of a, pause in between growing seasons here. More of a planning kind of thing, but I want to walk around and kind of give you a brief overview of what's happened over the last year, which is, I'm entering now the second year of this food forest. The 0 year, I'm calling it, is when I just let all the grasses grow up, and that would be 2020. So 2020, I just let all the grasses grow, and I didn't cut anything other than I made a couple of pathways. And then this last year, 2021, I filled in made a couple more pathways. I made this raised garden bed area. On the other side, I planted a whole bunch of sunchokes. You can kind of see behind the tree. And then this year, I planted a whole bunch of other stuff. We'll kind of summarize this last year, 21. And then I wanted to talk about some of the random plantings that I want to do with a lot of different flowers and some other annual vegetables, which are a little bit outside of, I guess, mainstream gardening. I want to plant like random Brussels sprouts and cucumbers all over the grassy areas, which is a little bit strange, but I'm trying to mimic nature. So one of the things will be to cut up some cucumbers that I have in the house, and I'm just gonna dig a little hole and just dump them in there randomly, and I'll make a video about all that stuff. But I just want to walk around and show you the frozen food forest, see how the grasses are going, some comments on that, and we'll start off with the compost pile over here, which is actually done pretty well all the way into January. So here we are just to the side here, and I haven't tested the temperature of this right bin, but I haven't added anything in there since I cleaned out my beds. But this one, I've been regularly adding food scraps from the local mart, about 4 to 6 buckets a week, and that's sitting at 75 right now. If I push it in deeper, the temperature does drop, and you'll probably see it drop. And it's 15 degrees outside right now. It's really cold. Yeah, you can see it dropping. So at the base of this pile is probably a third of wood chips, some food scraps and paper, but a lot of browns. And then this top half, probably from that last board up, is mostly nitrogen heavy foods. So that's why there's a lot more activity in the bacteria that's eating up all the food. So I'm going to keep adding to that, and I'm also going to start adding scraps to this little wooden fence. I still have some straw, like a bale and a half of straw, so I'll be able to cover up the food scraps so my neighbors don't get mad. And so we'll get that working as well. And I have a standing kind of deal with the restaurant owner. I just keep bringing buckets, and they keep filling it up. And I wanted to talk about, so some of the planting that I did last year was just, I filled in these beds, those beds, and this with bagged soil, which is kind of a bummer. And I had tomatoes and some peppers in here, and this is a little bit lower. So what I've done here is I've put a lot of the old tomatoes in there and some of the peppers, and I'm going to wait until spring, and when those start to sprout up, because of the style of plant, hopefully I'll be able to add compost in and kind of backfill it. So that'll increase how much the tomatoes on each stem. You'll notice that they have fibers. Anything that has fibers and stuff on the sides of the stem will re-root. So once those pop up several inches, then I'll put in more soil to raise that, to make those even sturdier. And I've left the cabbage here because it's still green. So if it's still green, that means it's still doing photosynthesis. So we're gonna keep those in there and see maybe they'll. Also, the berries, I want to show that I put strawberries right here, and I put a whole bunch of asparagus right here, centered on the screen. And there's a couple of elderberries there, roots or cuttings that I put in there, and there's a couple of hascat berry bushes that I put along that edge, so it'll be interesting to see how that stuff comes up. I didn't really see any growth toward the end of the summer, but one of the things I'm going to do to flesh out this area is I have a couple berries here, and I have another right here where that flag is. But all these areas that aren't a walking path, so everything that's not basically this, I'm going to sprinkle a whole bunch of different clover and flower seeds, and I have a mix that I'll show you in a different video when I go to plant all that stuff. But as far as pathways, this pathway, you can actually see it better now that there's snow. But we're going to keep that, and there's comfrey, blueberry, and a couple of hascaps lining this. And then we come down and have cherry bushes on this corner, right there where the tip of my finger is, back there, right there, and then over there. Then I also planted a couple of pink blueberry bushes over here. There's some currants, three currants, and then blueberries along here. And they're all three different types. I have 3 different types of currants, 3 different types of hascaps. And then hopefully in the spring, if anybody saw the sunchokes when they came up, they looked a lot like sunflowers, and they multiplied about 10 to 12 times. So if I put one, piece of the root down there, it multiplied 10 to 12 times. So there's a whole lot of food just underneath there, but now the ground's frozen, so we can't do much. As far as vegetables, I had broccoli, cucumber, some zucchini, a couple of things in this area right here. And I'd let a lot of that stuff drop down, so some of the bad vegetables and stuff I kind of tossed over here, and then there's still seeds in here. Interesting, I want to see if they will replant themselves or plant themselves. So I'm going to leave this area. I'm not going to touch this area in the spring, and I'm not really going to touch that area over there in the spring. And overall, hopefully the wind isn't too bad, what I want to do for all this kind of wild grassy areas is I want to start planting random flower seeds. I basically scrape the ground, but I want, essentially, instead of just the grasses coming up, hopefully a lot of this grass is going to die because it didn't go to seed last year. I want flowers all over throughout, as well as the pine trees and this will be a walkway of asparagus. And coming around here, there's goji berries, Saskatoon, and I think a couple elderberries along with comfrey. And I have a whole lot of different things. I have a whole list of things I want to order, and I'll kind of share those with you. But I really wanted to just do kind of a brief walk around here so you can see what it looks like in the winter. And I'm going to get in before I freeze too bad. I just wanted to tell you about this little seeding area along the edge here. I'm going to sheet mulch that in the spring, and I'm going to plant a couple of different types of barberry bushes. And what I like about those, of course, they're healthy, but they're evergreen, and that's going to be a big push this year, is having evergreen bushes, fruiting evergreen bushes, as more of a visual block, kind of like the pine trees are going to be for the road. But I need something that won't lose its leaves along all the edges. All my videos have my neighbors' houses, and I try to bring the camera down so I'm not getting them in my videos. But yeah, and it would be nice to have a little bit of privacy. So reached about the end of my limit, at least my fingers have, and my face and my nose has. So it was nice to walk around and see things and kind of get an idea of where I'm going to plant things. I think I'll be doing most of my planting now inside, now that the ground is frozen and it's going to be averaging 10 degrees. So I'll see you later. All right, bye-bye.